In this lesson, we're going to talk about primary shapes and secondary shapes. So here's the example that we're going to create, and you notice it's a fairly complex shape, but if you break it down into your primary forms and your secondary forms, it's actually not too bad. So all of these little extras that we have extruding out of here are all going to be secondary shapes. The primary shape is going to be this overall loop that we have running through here, kind of a border, and then we've got this face that contains the four of these, and then we have this face that is going to come up here and it's going to come down on this one right here. Alright, so let's jump into our top view and we're going to split this up a little bit. And what you can see here is we have this little border that runs around the whole thing, and it's actually on the grid so we can snap all that information. So we'll go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop Tool, and we're going to put 4 extra in here. And we're going to take those, snap them to the grid, and this will create our border that we have around here, like that. Alright, now we're going to take this inside face and we're going to extrude it in so we can create this face right here. Alright, so we'll grab that one and we'll go to Edit Mesh, Extrude, and I'm going to scale that in a little bit. And let's see if we can't get this close to the other size. Maybe I'll go just right on that grid right there. Looks like this one's a little bit shorter, but that's alright. Doesn't really matter. Alright, now the whole key to this whole thing is right here. We're going to take this face and we're just going to rotate it down like this. Let's go to our side view, and looks like we got close enough to it. Alright, so what we've done here is we've created the entire primary shape for this just with a couple of extrudes like that. Now you will notice that Maya's having a little bit of trouble with these faces right here because they are twisting. Right here it's going that way, and inside it's going down that way. So once we get here, it's kind of adding an extra little face right there. Over here you'll notice it's not adding that one, so it just kind of cuts it in. Plain and simple fact is Maya just doesn't really know what to do with this. It doesn't know how to shade this. And once we go in and we split this up a little bit more, it's going to help that out. Because now we have just one big long face doing that, but if we split it up, then it's going to help that out. Alright, so in order to create the 4 of these, we're going to have to split this up into 4 different sections. So in order to do that, I'll just grab this edge right here, Control right click, Edge Ring Utilities, to Edge Ring and Split. Then we'll grab this one, hit the G key, and we'll hit the G key on that one as well. You can see that Maya already is having a much easier time with these. Like if you watch this one, it has a little bit of a problem with it right there. But it's much better already, and we'll add a little bit more geometry in there. Alright, so let's create the faces that we need to extrude these out. I'm going to go ahead and grab all of these, and we'll go to Edit Mesh, under Face, Extrude. And what we want to do is we want to use our offset function to pull this in a little bit. And what you'll see is it's doing it all as one unit, which isn't what we want. We want an extrusion on each of these faces individually. So we'll go into our Extrude node, and we'll go down to Keep Faces Together, and we're going to turn that off. You can just type 0 in there if you wish to, or you can spell out off. It'll do the exact same thing. Then we'll go to this offset and we'll pull it to about 0.2. That looks like it's about the same distance. So now we have the information that we need here to accomplish these extrusions. Alright, so we're going to grab these faces now, and we'll go ahead and hit the G key to extrude those again. And what I want to do is I don't want to pull this handle because it's going to pull these at an angle. It always goes normal to the surface. So I'm just going to hit W and I'm going to pull these straight up like that. Alright, now you'll notice that the wedge shape is kind of a triangular shape. It's flat on top, 90-degree angle right there. So we need to go in and fix what we have here in order to get that shape. What we're going to do is we're going to go under Mesh Tools and we're going to go to the Target Weld tool. And this works a couple of different ways. We can grab this point right here and pull it down to that point, and notice it merged those. So we can merge that one. If we can get in here, we can actually grab this edge and merge it down to that edge as well. So it will do both of those. A little bit easier doing the edge method. All right, now what we need to do is we need to make sure that these are nice and flat. So in order to do that, we're just going to grab this, and I'm going to grab my move tool. I'm going to get it moving in this direction, and I'm going to snap it to this point right here, and then that'll make sure that that's nice and flat. Okay, hold down V, middle mouse drag over that one. Same thing, hold down V, middle mouse drag, and we'll do that one. All right, so now we have our little wedge shapes in there. They go back in, so we need to create those. We'll grab all of these front faces, and we'll go to Edit Mesh. We'll do another extrude, and we'll change our offset on that. 0.1 looks a little bit too big, and so we want to make that a little bit smaller, so we'll go to our extrude node, and maybe we'll do 0.02, maybe 0.04. That looks pretty good. Maybe 0.05. That'll give us a little bit of room to put a bevel on there as well. All right, now I'll go ahead and hit the G key so I can do that same function again. I'll go to my move tool, and I'm going to pull these back. And it doesn't really matter how far we go. We don't want to go through this wall right here. So you want to make sure you're on this side of that. And we'll just delete those faces. We don't need them anymore. So now we have those nice openings in there. All right, now we've got a few extra things that we can do. One of them is, do we want these edges to be coming diagonal like this? And that's one of the things that we need to determine. And what's going to determine that is what happens to our bevel. So let's grab all the edges that we need here. Let's see, we need that one. All right, so those look good. We're going to need this one and that one as well back here. Going to need those and that one. So it's kind of looking like we're pretty much going to need all of these. That one. And we may have to select these again. We'll see when we do this. All right, so those are all the edges that we're going to need to hold this shape. We're also going to need these as well. So let's see what a bevel does in this situation. Okay, we're going to have those in there as well. So this is just going to be a test for us to see what our bevel does. All right, so we'll go to Edit Mesh, go to Edge, and we're going to bevel. We'll go into our attribute editor, excuse me, our channel box here, into our bevel node. We're going to change that to 2, and maybe we'll go just a hint bigger, maybe 0.7 on that. We want to make sure that we retain all of this flatness right here, and our bevel doesn't go into that. All right, so as you can see, these look great right here. These look great. It actually terminated quite well right here. So the question was, do we need to continue these down through here or not? So let's go ahead and run with this idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video for a second, and I'm going to select all of the rest of these exactly the same that I did with this one, so we can save a little bit of time here. All right, so we have all these selected now, and let's go ahead and do a bevel on this. So Edit Mesh, we'll do our bevel, and we'll go into that bevel node. Of course, we'll change our segments to 2, and we'll bring this up a little bit, about 0.7. And you can see now that we do have a bevel on all of this information. So let's check this out. We'll hit the 3 key. And you can see we do have issues on our corners there. And what that actually is we've got our very familiar pattern of this right here, this little butterfly shape that we're going to get in there. So there's a couple things that we can do to fix this. I'm going to undo before I did that bevel where I just have my selection. And I'm going to add these two to the mix. And you could do this either way. Previous lessons I showed you how to take care of that little pattern right there. But in this instance, I think we would be okay just bringing that all the way through on those, and that will take care of that problem for us. All right, edit mesh, edges, bevel. Again, we'll change this to 2, fraction to 0.7. And let's see what we've got. Okay, that looks great. Everything's working very nicely there. Now, if you notice on this one, I did this just slightly different, where I went ahead and beveled this edge right here, and then I took these and continued them straight down. And what this did for me was it just gave just a little bit of extra geometry on here to kind of help some of these out. I mean, you can see, you really have to get in to see this one messing up right here, the way it's twisting like that. But still, even over here, we're not really getting a whole lot of it going on anyway. So it looks pretty good. All right, so there's a look at modeling this object and really looking at our primary shapes and our secondary shapes in order to make it a little bit easier for us to model this. See you in the next lesson.